Okay, I want to ask you something, and you probably already know the answer. When's the last time you saw a video on YouTube or anywhere about growing carrots? Not tomatoes, not cucumbers, not 1500th video while your zucchini's taking over your neighborhood. Just carrots. Now, you might say, well, Phil, you put out a video about carrots, and you're right. But now we're going to talk about a different aspect, all right? Actual carrots pulled out of the ground, orange and covered in dirt, the way carrots are supposed to look. Well, at least the orange ones. I realized that in all the content I made about gardening, I never really dedicated a lot of videos to root crops, not one. Carrots, beets, turnip, parsnips, the vegetables that grow underground and get completely ignored by gardening channels, including mine, other than the other one video. That is until now. We're doing a lot more. This is a mistake because root crops might be the most beginner friendly, most rewarding, most criminally underrated category of vegetables you can actually grow. They don't need a trellis, they don't need to be trained or staked or baby through a heat wave. You just put the seed in the ground, you keep it moist, not soggy. The plants all do all the work for you, and you don't even need to look at them to see it's happening. The vegetables literally hiding underground, getting bigger while you do other things in your life. Now, that's my kind of gardening. You know who I am, Phil Davis, your host. And today we're going underground. Carrots, beets, turnips, all those things that you can't see, but you can eat. What they need to grow, what they need, how to harvest them, and why you should absolutely have at least one of these in your garden right now. Now, let's dig in. We get into the individual crops, and there are a few things that apply to all the root vegetables, and there are things you can get right about them, and you're most of the way there. Okay, the first one is soil depth and texture. Root vegetables grow downward, as we all know, right? That's the whole point. If your soil is hard and compact, full of rocks, root hits an obstacle, gets confused, and grows sideways, left, right. That's why you got all these roots that look like weird fingers of people's faces and stuff like that. You actually want loose, well drained soil that the root can push through without resistance. If you're growing in the ground, loosen the soil at least 12 inches deep before you plant. That way, or if you're growing in a raised bed, it's going to be a little different. You want to make sure your bed is 10 to 12 inches deep. So, if you have heavy clay soil, mixing some compost or coarse sand will break that up. Second thing is, root vegetables do not like to be transplanted. Let me repeat, they do not like to be transplanted. So, you sow them directly into the soil so they can grow, and no starting them inside and moving them out later. Third thing is thinning. This is a step most beginners skip because it feels wrong to pull out plants you just grew. But if you do not thin the roots, they will compete with each other like all things do, and you'll end up with a bunch of tiny stunted vegetables instead of a few good solid ones. When your seedling's about 2 to 3 inches tall, go in and pull out the extras so that each remaining plant has room it needs. It feels wasteful, but it's not. It actually what makes the difference between a real harvest and a disappointment. Now let's talk about each crop. Carrots are one of the most are the ones people want to try first, and for good reason. They're one of the most searched vegetables for home growing. They're expensive at organic prices in the store, and they're genuinely nothing that tastes like a carrot you just pulled out of your ground. Store-bought carrots are weeks old by the time you eat them. Bet you didn't know that. A fresh carrot has sweetness and a snap that'll make you wonder why you've been buying or what you've been buying your whole life. They need loose soil, almost more than any other crop. And there's one vegetable with a soil preparation pays off. It's this one. Sow seeds about a quarter of an inch deep, an inch apart, in rows, and thin them about 3 to 4 inches apart once they sprout. Carrots are slow to germinate, sometimes 2 to 3 weeks, so don't panic if nothing appears when they're down there. Keep the soil moist during germination period and do not let that surface cross over because a carrot seedling is not strong enough to push past hard soil when it starts to sprout. Most carrot varieties are ready to harvest in about 70 to 80 days. And you know they're ready when you see the top of the carrot, those shoulders start coming out. You see the little green bushy head. Pull out one carrot first. I repeat, pull out one carrot first. If it's the right size and color, you can harvest the rest. If you want sweeter carrots, leave them in the ground until after a light frost. Cold temperatures cause the carrot to convert starches into sugars. A difference in flavor is noticeable, but you didn't know that. Now we're going to get to beets. Beets are a root crop that surprises people the most because everything about them is useful. The root, from what people think are roasted beets, pickled beets, beet salads, the name you can go on, right? But they're all genuinely delicious. Young beet greens taste similar to Swiss chards, and they can be used anywhere if you want to use leafy greens sauteed with garlic. I'm about to start getting hungry. Tossed in soups, added to smoothies. When you grow beets, you're growing essentially two vegetables in one plant. That's a good deal. Beets are seeds that usually that are unusual. That in each seed is actually a cluster of 2 to 3 seeds, as you just saw. They're fused together. So if you want to plant one seed, you're likely going to get multiple sprouts from that spot. This makes thinning even more important because, again, like carrots, you don't want them to compete for competition in the soil. Thin beads around 3 to 4 inches apart. Do not throw away what you pull because those thinnings are edible greens right there in your hand. Beets are ready to harvest in about 50 to 70 days, depending on the variety. So you need to read the instructions before you plant. The best time to pull them out is when the root is the size of a golf ball to a tennis ball. Bigger than that, they start to get woody and tough. Oh, I've had some bad ones. Harvest before a hard freeze, but similar to carrots, a light frost actually improves that flavor. Turnips, next, are the most underappreciated vegetable in this category, and I'll stand by that they grow really fast, faster than carrots or beets. Some varieties are ready in as little as 35 to 45 days. They're tolerant to cold better than most any other vegetable in the garden. They store well, and again, just like beets, carrots are completely edible. I'm sorry, turnips are completely edible and considered a delicacy in Southern cooking. Turnip greens, oh my goodness, I could love some turnip greens. Cook low and slow with a little smoked meat and one of the regional dishes that people grow up with and they never forget. I'm saying it from experience here. So turnip seeds, you sow them about a half an inch deep and thin to 4 to 6 inches apart. They actually prefer cooler weather, which makes them an excellent fall crop. But to get that garden ready, plant them in late summer and harvest them when the temperature drops in October, November. In warmer climates, you can grow them through the whole winter entirely. For storage, keep them cool, dark place for weeks. And if you have a root cellar, a cold garage, or even a cold corner in your basement, they can last for months. And they were a primary survival food in cold climates for centuries for that exact reason. Easy to grow, easy to store, definitely easy to cook. Turnips deserve a comeback, and your garden's a good place to start one. Now, here's a bigger picture I want to leave you with. Most gardeners spend all their energy on what it grows above ground. Rightfully so. Tomatoes, peppers, beans, those are great, but root vegetables are working beneath the surface quietly, steadily, and taking up less space, requiring less maintenance, and producing food that requires less storage and stores longer. Now, if you own land, any land, a backyard, small plot, hell, even a balcony or a rural property, a dedicated root crop bed is one of the best investments you can make in that land. Low maintenance, high yield, excellent storage potential, like I said before. From self sufficiency standpoint, root crops are exactly the kind of quiet, reliable food production that does not get enough attention. But that's what this channel's about. Ancestry Land's not just the flashy stuff, the practical stuff that actually feeds you and your family. If you want to see more content like this, you know what you need to do. Give me that HMO special because we can get these root crop companions planting going and get you what you can grow on maximum yield and minimal space. Subscribe to the channel. Give me that HMO special. Help me out. A lot more coming and leave a comment. You know, I read them. And then tell me, have you ever grown root vegetables before? How they work out or did some go sideways? I want to know. Make sure you leave a comment so others can learn from it. Good stories, both and disasters are both welcome. I'm Philip Davis with Ancestry Lands. Thanks for watching. Now, go find out what's growing underneath your feet.
Most people don't need motivation, they need better information. Owning land, growing food, and becoming more self reliant often sound complicated, mostly because they're rarely explained clearly. Ancestry Lands focuses on the practical side of independence by talking about what land ownership actually costs, what works in real backyards and small parcels. Because independence means getting freedom and security, and land just happens to do both. If you prefer planning over panic, subscribe to Ancestry Lands for information you can actually use.